In this video, you'll learn how to use the WordPress Block Editor. We're going to go over the interface and how to use blocks, and be sure to stay tuned till the end because I'll be showing you the quickest and easiest way to create gorgeous layouts for your website, including blog posts, opt-in pages, sales pages, and more. Hi there, I'm Christine on with Thrive Themes. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I invite you to do that, and if you ring the bell, you'll be notified when we publish new videos. So the WordPress Block Editor was introduced in 2018 with WordPress 5.0, and it was developed to make creating pages and posts easier and more flexible. So it's supposed to be easier to create layouts with columns, buttons, and images, and it's easier to get spacing right, and the Block Editor also has a settings panel where you can make customizations easily. Now, by contrast, the previous editor looked and functioned a lot like a standard word processor tool. We now call that editor the Classic Editor. If you prefer to use that one, you can still use it by downloading the Classic Editor plugin from the WordPress plugin directory. All right, so let's get started with the WordPress Block Editor. So let's start by accessing the Block Editor. You'll see the Block Editor appear when you create a new page or post. So let's go to Posts, and let's add a new post, and let's give this post a name. Now, the very first thing I'd like to go over is, what are blocks? Well, blocks are just elements that you can add to your page or post. So you can have a text block, you can have an image block, you can have a button block. To view all of the available blocks, just go to the plus sign in the upper left corner. And as you can see, you have lots of text blocks, you have several media blocks, including an image block, gallery, video. You also have several design blocks and widget blocks and more. Now, before we get into how to use blocks, let's go over the interface because things are going to be popping up and changing on the screen as you click on blocks. So let's go ahead and let's close the blocks list. And you might notice that the overall interface looks a lot cleaner and more modern than the classic editor interface. But that also means that some features may not be immediately apparent. So if you're used to seeing page or post settings here on the right side of the page, but you aren't seeing them now, you can click the settings toggle at the top of the page. And for certain settings, you can change them by simply clicking on them. And if we scroll down, you'll be able to add your post category. You can also add tags to your post, and you can add a featured image and more. Now, you'll notice that in this sidebar there is a block tab. This is where you'll find the settings for your selected block. So as you're working, you'll have one block selected at a time. For example, let me quickly type in some text here. So now with this text block selected, here are my options for this particular block. Now, moving on to the buttons in the upper right of the page, this is where you can preview what your page will look like on different devices. Right now we are in desktop mode, but you can also see what your page will look like on tablets, on mobile devices, and you can also preview your entire page in a new tab. Now remember, what we're working on in the WordPress Block Editor is just the content portion of a page or post. So you might wonder, where did all of these other things come from? Well, that came from my WordPress theme. The content portion is just this little portion right in here. So let's go back to the editor. And these three dots in the upper right corner of the page will open your editor options. Now, I'm going to let you explore most of these on your own, but I do want to point out the top toolbar option. So when you have a block selected, for example, let me select this block here, you'll see that you have some options that pop up in a floating toolbar. Now, this toolbar can sometimes get in the way. So what you can do is you can go to your editor options and then enable top toolbar, and you'll see that those options have gone to the top of the page. Now, spotlight mode, that will let you focus on one block at a time by dimming the other blocks that you aren't currently editing. Full screen mode will hide the WordPress admin UI, and distraction free will hide the toolbar so that you can write without it popping up and distracting you. Now, what's nice about the block editor is that you can create more complex layouts, and you can do that more easily than with the classic editor. So if you want to, say, add an image, just go to the plus sign in the top left of the screen, and then you can use the search bar to search for the image block, and you can click on that to add it to your page. Now, if you haven't added any images to your media library, you can do that by clicking the Upload button. I've already got some images uploaded, so I'll go to my media library and I'll choose an image. Next, I'd like to show you where you can make customizations to your blocks. So for example, I will select the image block, and I've got some settings in the top toolbar. To view the rest of the settings, I'll need to open my right sidebar by clicking the settings icon. And then you'll need to make sure that you have the block tab open. And then you have a settings panel here where you can change the aspect ratio, width, height, resolution, etc. And then you can go to the styles panel, and this is where you can make stylistic customizations. Next, let's talk about blocks and how to use them. So the easiest way to build a page is just to have a linear flow from top to bottom. But what's nice about the block editor is that you can build more complex things. So let's go ahead and let's delete these blocks. And by the way, to delete a block, simply make sure it's selected and then go to the toolbar, click the three dots and click delete. And let's get rid of this one as well. Now, one thing you might want to do is add columns to your page. To do that, you can go to the block inserter and click the plus sign. Another thing you can do is go to the prompt that's here on the page, and then you can type the / button and then start typing columns. And here it is, so I'll simply click on it. Now let's choose a column variation. I'll choose 50-50. In the left column, I would like to add an image, so I'll click the plus sign, and as it turns out, the image block is right here. So I'll go to my media library and I'll select an image. And then in the right column, I would like to add some text. So I'll click on the column, and then I'll click the Add Block button, and then I'll click the Paragraph block. So now I'll go ahead and paste in some text. So now that we have an image inside of a column and we have some text inside of a column, now would be a great time to show you the document overview. So let's go up to the top toolbar, and this button here is for the document overview. And as you hover over each element, a blue highlight will appear in the editor. So we do have the overall columns block, and then you have each column listed separately. So let me go ahead and let me click this to open the drop-down. The leftmost column, which contains the image, is listed on top, and then below that we have the column which contains our paragraph. Now, the reason why this list view is helpful is sometimes you'll want to make a customization to a specific block or container, and it's difficult to click around in the editor to select the right item. So for example, let's say that I would like to change the background color for the entire columns block. If I were to click here, well, that would select the paragraph block. And if I were to click a little bit outside of that, that would select the column. But by using the list view, I can easily select the entire columns block. And then I can open my right sidebar. And then let's go to the Styles tab, and then I can easily change the background color. Now you'll notice that the WordPress Block Editor is responsive, so it reorganized the page when I opened the right sidebar. So we can go ahead and close this, and if we close this as well, now we've got a better idea of what this would look like in desktop mode. Now, as you're placing blocks on your page, you might need to adjust spacing. So I'm going to adjust the spacing for the columns block. To make sure that the columns block is selected, I will go to the document overview, and under list view, I'll just make sure that columns is selected. Then I'll go over to the right sidebar, and then I'll go to the Styles tab. And if we scroll down, you can see that you have options for padding, margin, and block spacing. Block spacing refers to the amount of space between blocks. Now very quickly, I'd like to go over the Dimensions tab because there's a few things here that aren't too obvious. Now by default, you can adjust the top and bottom padding together and the left and right padding together, and you can do that using these sliders that have numbered stops. If you want to use a different unit, you can simply click the slider icon, and then you can choose from either pixels, percent, m, etc. And then you can use the slider to change the number of units. Now to go back to using the numbered stops, you can simply click on the slider icon again, but you'll notice that the padding has not updated. So to update it, you'll need to click on the slider again and just move it around, and that will update what's in your editor window. Now, if you would like to adjust the padding for one side only, you can go to the padding options and click that, and then you can select top, and now you've got an option for top padding only. Now, if you would like to start over with the spacing, you can do that by going to the three dots and then just click the reset button. Now, with what I've shown you so far, I think you're good to start exploring on your own, but there's a couple little things that I just want to mention in case you run into them. So let's move on to images. I'll simply click on this image here, and let's go to the Styles tab. And so the default is for your image to have square corners. If you choose the rounded option, then that will make your image as close to circular as possible. So with a square image, that will turn the image into a perfect circle. With a rectangular shaped image, that will turn your image into something oblong shaped. Now, if you want rounded corners, but not so rounded that the image becomes circular, then you can go down to the radius option and you can use the slider here. As you can see, that's starting to round the corners. Now at this point, if you click the rounded button to get that true rounded shape, you'll see that it's not quite going to work. What you'll need to do first is you'll need to go to the three dots next to border and then go to radius and click the reset button. So there we go, that did the trick. Another thing I would like to show you is how to add a border to your image. So again, make sure that the image is selected, and then I'll go to border. And then to select the thickness of your border, you can simply use the slider. To change the color of the border, simply click right in here, and then you can choose a new color. Now to select a custom color, you can do that by clicking on the color swatch, and then that will open up the color picker. All right, so let's clear all of this out, and to quickly delete blocks, you can use the list view here, and I'm going to select columns, and I'm going to use the three dots here, and then I'll click delete. Now I'm going to add in some dummy text here. Now for the paragraph block, you'll notice that there is no style tab here. So to access the padding and margin, you'll need to go to the dimensions tab, and if you just click here, you'll notice that nothing happens. You'll need to click on the plus sign, and then you can add padding, and then you can add margin to your settings panel. All right, now the last thing I'd like to show you with the WordPress editor is, let's go to the blocks list, and let's go to patterns, and now you can add a number of pre-made designs to your page. So that's something fun to play with. And then if you go to media, images is images that are in your media library, and Openverse is a library of images that you can use for free. All Openverse content is in the public domain. So I think that's enough to get you started. Now, although the WordPress Block Editor provides you the tools that you need to build a great looking page, it can still be very time consuming to play with margins and padding and to change background colors and to add radiused corners to images. So let's talk about a better solution. Next, let's talk about how to create website pages on easy mode. Now, what's nice about the block editor is that it comes with WordPress, so there's no extra plugins to install, but it can take a good bit of time and effort to create the exact layout you want. So if you want to create pages quickly and save yourself time and frustration, then I recommend using Thrive Architect. Thrive Architect is a WordPress plugin that has a drag and drop editor, much like the WordPress editor, but in my opinion, it's much easier to use. It comes with elements like columns, images, and buttons, just like the WordPress block editor, but it has even more elements and design options. Thrive Architect also comes with hundreds of pre-designed blocks, so you can quickly build the kind of page you need. And it comes with conversion-focused full page templates for things like sales pages, webinar sign-up pages, thank you pages, and more. Getting started with any Thrive tool is really easy. So after purchasing Thrive Architect, or Thrive Suite if you want to get all of our tools at an amazing value, then all you need to do is log into your Thrive Themes account and download the Thrive Product Manager plugin. Then go to the back end of your WordPress website, go to Plugins and Add New, and then click the Upload Plugin button. And then you can upload the file that you just downloaded. follow the prompts to install and activate Thrive Product Manager, and then you can go to the Thrive Product Manager in your WordPress sidebar. From here, you can select the tools you need, and then you can follow the prompts to install and activate your selected products. After that, anytime you start a new page or post, you'll see the option to launch Thrive Architect to build your page. Now, looking at this page, you might wonder where all of these things came from. That came from my WordPress theme. The theme I'm using on this site is Thrive Theme Builder, but Thrive Architect was designed to work with other WordPress themes too. Now, what's nice about Thrive Theme Builder is that you have complete control over the layout of your site. So you can choose from several different header layouts, top section layouts, sidebar layouts, etc. And then you can customize everything to your liking. Now, if you're using Thrive Architect, you still have the ability to add a blog post title and featured image and tags and categories in the usual way, which is in the WordPress post settings. But you can also add your blog post title and featured image from here. Just go up to the breadcrumbs at the top of the page and click the post settings. And you can go to the post content tab. And let's go ahead and let's add a post title. And let's also go ahead and add a featured image. Now, if you don't have any images uploaded yet, you can do that by going to the Upload Files tab. I've already got several images in my media library, so I'll simply choose one of those. Now, the content portion of your blog post is this little box right here, and that's where you're going to add the body of your blog post, so text, images, etc. Now, Thrive Architect is a drag and drop builder, so it's really easy to add elements to your post. Just go to the Add Elements button in the right sidebar, and then you can simply click and drag elements to where you would like them to go. Now, for something like columns, that's really easy to do, so I'll go to Add Elements, and I'll click and drag the columns element into place. So there's several different layouts you can choose from. I'll choose 1/3 and 2/3. And now let's add an image to this column. And let's add some text to this one. Now, to make sure that this text is aligned top to bottom, I'll simply click on it, and then I'll go to the column using the breadcrumbs at the top of the page. And then I'll go to the Main Options tab, and I'll click the Vertical Position button. So that's super easy to do. Now, there's some types of blog posts where it's really helpful to have pre-designed blocks. So for example, if you want to do a blog post exploring the pros and cons of a product, your post would look a lot more professional if you could format those pros and cons nicely. So Thrive Architect comes with dozens of pre-designed blocks. To add a block to your page, you can simply go to the Add Element button, and then you can click and drag the block element into place. As you can see, there are dozens of different blocks to choose from. You can use the filters on the left to help you find what you're looking for. Let's go to Pros and Cons, and let's use this block. Now, customizing blocks is super easy. For text, everything is just click to edit, and then you can change colors, icons, fonts, spacing, images, and more. So for example, if you would like to change this icon right here, you can simply click on it, make sure that icon is highlighted in the breadcrumbs, and then over on the left under the Main Options tab, you can click the button to change this icon, and you can choose a new icon. Then to keep building your blog post, you can simply add more elements and blocks as necessary. Now, for things like sales pages, webinar sign-up pages, opt-in pages, and thank you pages, you could build it from scratch using elements and blocks, but the absolute easiest way to get those pages built is to start with a template and customize the template to your needs. So let's create a new page. Let's go to Pages and Add New, and let's create a sales page. Click the button to launch Thrive Architect, and you'll see that you have a few options here. You can use your normal WordPress theme and just use Thrive Architect to create the page content. You can use a blank page with a header and footer. You can start with a completely blank page, or you can start with one of our pre-built landing pages. These are full page layouts that are completely customizable for things like sales pages, etc. So let's start with that. Thrive Architect comes with dozens of landing page templates, all organized into landing page sets. So that way you can choose a landing page set with a design that you like, and then you can keep using that set for other types of pages, and you can keep the look of your landing pages consistent. So let's use the hydrogen set. And this set has a home page, upsell page, confirmation page, etc. We want a sales page, so let's look at those. And let's choose this template. Now everything on this page is completely customizable, but there's a couple things that make it super easy to match this page to your brand. To change the fonts for the entire page at once, go to the Central Style panel, and then go to the Fonts tab, and then you can click Edit Landing Page Typography. To select a new font for an individual typography element, simply click on it, and then use the options on the left. You can also change the typography for all of your headings at once by clicking on the middle green line. Make sure that all headings is highlighted in the breadcrumbs, and then you can use the options on the left. You can also change all typography elements at once by clicking on the outermost green line, and you'll see that all elements is highlighted in the breadcrumbs, and you'll see that all elements is highlighted here as well. And then you can change the font and color for all typography elements at once. So let's go ahead and do that. When you're finished, click the Close button. And now you can see that all of the typography elements have been updated on your page. Another handy feature is the ability to change the main color for the entire page. To do that, go to the Central Style panel. And then under colors, you can choose a new main accent color. Let's choose green. And if we scroll down the page, you can see that all of the other elements on the page that use the main accent color have been updated automatically. Now everything on this page is completely customizable, so for example, if you would like to change the background color for just this section, you can absolutely do that. Simply click on this section, make sure that the correct element is highlighted in the breadcrumbs, then go to the Background Style tab, and then you can simply choose a new color. From here, there is so much more you can do that we just don't have time to go over, but you can add blocks by clicking on the blue plus sign that appears between sections. You can also delete blocks. You can add elements by going to the Add Element button. And of course, you can replace the text and images in this template with your own. So that's the gist of Thrive Architect. If you need to build pages for your website quickly, if you need to build pages that have a conversion focus, or if you want to write professional looking blog posts, then I would definitely recommend checking it out. Now, if you're looking to build not just a website, but also an online business, then you're going to need a split testing tool to drive up conversions. You're going to need a lead generation tool, an automation tool, and you might even need a course creation and membership tool. If that sounds like something your business needs, then be sure to check out Thrive Suite, which includes all of our tools, including Thrive Architect and Thrive Theme Builder, at an amazing value. The link will be in the description. So I'm going to wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe.